The night I called the police on a ghost. Although it's absurdity, this is a real story and happened quite recently. I am young, not disclosing but old enough to be on here. So me being me, I was on a Discord call with my friend. It was dusk out and all the streetlights on my street were on. After a while of peacefully chatting with my friend, I noticed one of the streetlights was flickering in an uneven pattern. I showed my friend who drives a sailboat with his dad a lot the streetlight on camera to see if it was Morse code or something. I've asked him if he was lying, and he swears on his life. He said,
"Bro, get out of there. That's Morse code for SOS.
I laughed it off. What a coincidence. That was until all the streetlights shut off all at once. Straight out of a fucking Stranger Things, they all turned back on in the same flickering pattern. And then, boom. A transformer pretty much right above me blew the hell up. It sounded like lightning, louder than lightning, but oh man did it scare the hell out of me. I ran inside explaining to my friend what happened and why it sounded like a thermonuclear bomb went off in my neighborhood. And once again, straight out of fucking Stranger Things, all the car alarms on my street went off. What the hell? At this point I was shitting bricks. Literally my parents' cars in my own garage went off as well. By the way, my parents weren't home. They were picked up by a friend to go to a dinner, so I scrambled to find both their keys and turn the alarms off. I was detoxing on the call with my friend and cuddling with my dogs, who were equally as scared. I swear to God, as if it couldn't get any weirder, all the lights in my room turned red. Now before someone calls bullshit, let me explain. All my lights are Govee. I connected my Govee to my Alexa. The default color for all my lights is red. Even though I knew this, it still pushed me beyond my breaking point, and I started shaking, bro. After my room lights all fully shut off, that's when I decided to dial the magical number. 911, what's your emergency? This is what I said verbatim, by the way. Excuse my language, but there's some weird shit going on in Redacted. Yeah, we've gotten calls about a blown transformer. Is that what you mean? Well, there's that, and then all the street lights, and my room lights, and the car alarms, straight out of Stranger Things. Okay, we're gonna send out power units to investigate, okay? Alright, thank you, ma'am. What happened next was a lot of talking to neighbors, Facebook, and my parents about what happened that night. The police told me that there was a major electrical fail in a fiber optic cable that caused a spark that knocked out or messed with a lot of other power utilities. They didn't have an explanation to the car alarms, though, which left me antsy. Thank you for reading. My first paranormal event. 11 years later, I still have no explanation. I was 12 at the time, and I shared a room with my 15-year-old brother. We shared bunk beds, which was pushed up against one of the bedroom walls. On the opposite end was a big window, maybe 1.5 meters wide. Directly underneath, we had two sets of IKEA drawers. Between those drawers and the walls was about 4 to 5 centimeters of space to allow the curtains we had hanging to freely move back and forth. The window could only be opened from the inside, and on the outside we had the typical Aussie security bars that are diamond-shaped with a fly screen behind. Therefore, there was no access from the outside. One night, around 6 p.m., my cousins were over for dinner. Everyone was at the table. I got bored and went to my room. I remember it still being light outside. I sat on my bed and went on my tablet. I had only been there for about 2 minutes when I noticed movement in my peripheral vision. The curtain was moving. At first I thought maybe it was just airflow, but it wasn't swaying. It wasn't the whole curtain shifting. It looked like something was pulling it open from behind. Not dramatically, just the specific kind of movement fabric makes when someone grips it and tugs. The section being pulled scrunches first, tight and gathered, and the rest follows. That's exactly what I saw. A section of the curtain tightening inward and sliding across as if fingers were dragging it. But there were no fingers, no hand, no shape, and there couldn't have been anyone behind it. There was only a few centimeters of space between the drawers and the wall. The window was closed. The bars were outside. It wasn't windy. The movement was deliberate, controlled. I remember just staring at it for a second, trying to make sense of it. Then I felt that drop in my stomach. I threw my tablet onto the bed and ran straight back to the dining room without looking back. Nothing else happened. No noises, no footsteps, no explanation. It sounds minor when I tell it now, a curtain moving. But I'm 23 now, and in all those years, nothing has unsettled me more than that specific movement. The way the fabric tightened like it was being held. I've tried to come up with a logical explanation, air pressure, static, a draft, but I know what I saw, and it didn't move like air. The end. The creep I saw in the middle of the night. Hello, Reddit. Please keep in mind that English is not my first language. Around 2005, my family and I just moved to a new house in a new area of the town, kind of desert area. I live in the Middle East, and we were one of the first houses there. One late night, I got up to get some water, so I headed to the kitchen. The way from my room to the kitchen was not far, and you had to pass by the living room. So I maneuvered around the couch to get to the kitchen. As I was drinking water, I saw from the kitchen window a reflection of someone sitting on the couch. I turned, and what I saw scares me to this day. It was a man dressed in all white and a white turban looking at me. I knew this because he was almost glowing, and I knew it was a man because when he smiled, his teeth were so white and shiny that I could see his features. He had a creepy smile, and he did not feel human. I was frozen in fear, not moving, because in my head it felt like if I moved, he would come at me. Then suddenly a voice whispered in my ear, saying my name, and it made me turn so fast to look, but no one was behind me, and when I looked back, the person was gone. That moment I ran so fast toward my bedroom and locked the door. Since that day, I always keep a bottle of water in my room. The demon in my house. I woke up on a random morning to get ready for school. I think I was less than 10, but I don't remember exactly how old. I got ready, got dressed, and was waiting to be taken. I noticed before leaving the house that my dad was still sleeping in his room. It was dark but not pitch black. My mom was in the bathroom nearby, I think. I go inside the room, take 2 steps in, and this is the point where you might think I'm mentally insane or believe me. I saw what I could only describe as a tall ghost demon. It was floating, wearing an almost see-through white dress, weird gray long hair, and gray dark face with no expression. Its nails weird and abnormally long. It floated towards me very statically for 2 seconds. I was shocked and I took a few steps back, looked up and saw nothing. Weird, huh? Long black-haired woman. I had an experience that felt completely real. I was around 7 years old at the time, and I am 100% sure I did not imagine it. It has stayed with me all these years, never leaving my mind. So here I am, finally sharing it. Back in the summer of 2001, my mom, my cousin, and I spent a weekend at a friend's apartment at the Oak Ridge Apartments in Madison, Wisconsin. One night, the moon was bright outside, lighting the room just enough to make the darkness feel heavier. We all shared one bedroom. I slept on the floor, my mother slept on the top bunk, and my cousin slept on the bed across the room. Our friend had to work that night, so it was just the 3 of us. Sometime around 2 or 3 in the morning, I suddenly woke up. I could hear footsteps and low voices outside the room. Fear crept in immediately, and I stayed completely still. It was dark, and I couldn't see much. Then, out of nowhere, 3 dark figures entered the room. I didn't know who they were, but they felt evil. Wrong in a way I can't fully explain. One of them looked like a small, older man with a mustache holding a baby. Another was a woman with long black hair. I couldn't see their faces clearly, but I had a strong sense of what they looked like. They walked over and sat near my cousin's bed, whispering to each other. The woman with the long black hair sat directly on the bed beside her. Eventually, they left the room. I gathered just enough courage to get up and tap my cousin on the shoulder to wake her. I was shaking. When she woke up, she told me it was nothing and told me to go back to sleep. As soon as I lay back down, I heard them coming back. I quickly returned to my spot on the floor as they re-entered the room. Again, they went to my cousin's bed and began whispering. The woman sat down on the bed once more. I was terrified. I didn't know who these people were or what they wanted. I struggled to breathe, barely gasping for air. Then the woman looked down at me. That was enough. I jumped up, ran to my mother's bed, and started screaming, "Wake up, wake up." I glanced back and remember seeing something small rushing toward me. My mother jolted awake and turned on the light. There was nothing there. I was confused, terrified, and shaken for the rest of the night. What made it worse was that about a month later, I saw them again, this time at my aunt's house. It was the same woman with the long black hair. She came out of my aunt's closet while I was sleeping. In a dream, she tried to kidnap me. After that, I never saw them again, and I hope I never do. I don't know if anyone else had an experience like this, but whatever it was truly evil. Thing breathing in the dark. Ever since I was a kid, sometimes I felt like being watched in the dark. That's somewhat common with kids that have some sort of trauma. Scary movies never really got to me. Only unnerving stuff that would be completely normal to other people. I was never afraid of something or someone, just afraid that something unknown would peek its head out from the doorframe. This was always a part of me in that stage before you sleep, where you're in the dark in your bed when I was a kid, and I remember being scared of being uncovered no matter how hot it got. All that eventually left me as I got older and became less scared, and nowadays that problem is non-existent to me. But yesterday, when I went to sleep late, the incident happened. Before I actually got to sleep in the pitch black, it was all quiet, until I started hearing something breathing very fast. I even felt the air on my face for every breath it took, like something was looming over me. I slightly opened my eyes and I saw some sort of movement in there, and I hoped it wouldn't notice I was awake. I didn't know what to do, and I stayed perfectly still, wondering what I could do, as I was quickly overheating. Then I started praying, and the breathing stopped. Whatever shape or thing that was looming over me disappeared. I don't know what that was, but my praying worked, and I'm glad it did. Now that could be explained with the autokinetic effect, or the AC malfunctioning that day, but I believe that what happened that day wasn't normal.